Dadbodoperator here, and this is my first AR-15. This is the Ruger AR-556. The astute amongst you will recognize that this is not the way this guy comes out the box. I bought this back in 2016 and have spent the last few years upgrading it into what you see now. Along the way, I bought a bunch of crap I didn't need and made a bunch of mistakes. So I thought I'd make a video today to help you guys avoid those mistakes. I'm also going to show you some of the things I did to my rifle to help you get some good ideas on building your base rifle into what you want it to be. And then at the end, I'm going to show you guys the numbers, what I spent on all the good stuff, what I spent on all the bad stuff, and let you determine whether or not it's worth buying a base rifle and upgrading it, or buying a higher end rifle and hoping it's everything you want it to be. So, starting at the beginning, got this guy in 2016. Walked into my local gun shop and bought it instead of the Smith & Wesson M&P 15 because I like the finish on this one a little bit better. But it was basic, guys. It came with just a standard plastic handguard, standard plastic stock, and your standard A2 front sight post, along with your standard grip, charging handle, bolt carrying group, you name it. I had a few $100 extra to spend, so I wanted to make the rifle my own, you know? And I decided that one of the best upgrades to do to begin with was to replace that handguard. And I actually don't count this as a mistake, guys, because I actually had this handguard on my rifle for a couple of years thereafter. But I went with the UTG Super Slim Carbine Length Rail System. This guy is made of 6061 aluminum. It's a pretty decent upgrade because it does have a full Picatinny length at the top that meets up to your existing rail. It also comes with little pieces of rail, Picatinny rail, that you can screw into the side for additional accessories like lights, bipods, things like that. And so I spent about $83 on that, and I feel like it was a pretty good upgrade. So that was that's one of the win column for me. The first in the L column is the Optic. I had done no research into optics at all. All I knew was I wanted a red dot. I knew they existed, but I didn't know what kind I wanted. So I kind of walked in there blind and was sold this guy here. This is a UTG red dot, green dot combo. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a decent red dot. It's got a nice little quick detach mounting system on it. Decent glass. It has a red dot and green dot both built in, and the dot itself is only 1 MOA, so it's super precise and easy to be accurate with. The main problem with this guy is this boy chonky, y'all. It's about a pound, pound and a half, and by the time you put this on your rifle and squeeze off a couple hundred rounds, you feel it. And so I spent 120 bucks on this, and if I would have known then what I know now, I would have just spent an extra 30 bucks and got something like a Bushmill TR25 or something like that, and been just as happy with it, because quite honestly, the weight savings would have been worth it, the extra 30 bucks in my opinion. So that was mistake number one. Mistake number two was having that rifle for about 1,000 rounds and getting a little bit full of myself. I decided that after having 1,000 rounds through it that I knew exactly what I wanted next, and that was magnification. I wanted to reach out and be able to reach out a little further and get some precision going. So I thought magnification was the way to do it. So I went and looked into scopes. Having done no research at all, I walked into my local sporting goods store yet once again, knowing that I wanted something with a decent range of magnification, an illuminated reticle, and a built-in laser to help me zero the scope, because I had had some problems with the previous red dot and zeroing. So I had my list, knew what I wanted, walked in the door, and walked out with this monstrosity here. This is the Firefield piece of garbage. It is a 2.5 to 10 magnification. It does have illuminated red and green reticle, only in the technical sense, because as soon as you walk outside, you can't see either color. It does have a built-in laser as well that's good out to about 6 feet, except for the fact that it died the day after I bought it. As far as glass goes, yes, it has glass. It's not great. The eye relief on this guy, I'm at 2.5 power here now, and I'm just now able to see it. So it's about 1.5 inches from my face. Going all the way up to the 10 power, you may as well shove that sucker in the back of your skull because there is no eye box. You can't find it, and the eye relief is just total crap. I bought this literally sight unseen for $125. Walked out the door thinking I was hot stuff. Went and put it on my rifle, put about 300 rounds through it, and realized I had messed up and went back to my old red dot. So that was mistake number 2. Fast forward, we had moved from Georgia to Northern Virginia, brought everything with me and started my new job. Had gotten pretty good along the way with my sales gig and had made some pretty decent money, and decided that I wanted to utilize some of that money to make my rifle exactly what I wanted it to be. So the Nation's Gun Show was coming up there shortly after, which is the biggest gun show in the country, guys. There's like 200 something booths in there, and every year it's jam-packed with people, especially these days. And if you're looking to get a good deal, that's always the place to go because all these vendors are trying to outbid each other. So I walked in there with a list of stuff that I knew I wanted, and that was pretty much everything. And by the time I got done, the only thing that's still stock on this rifle is the barrel and the upper and lower receiver and the buffer tube. Everything else has been switched out. So I'm going to walk you through kind of some of the things that I did. First thing I wanted to get rid of was that front sight post. It had to go. But that also meant that I had to put on a low profile gas block. So I walked in and I found a BCM low profile gas block. I know you really can't see it underneath there, but I found a BCM low profile gas block, took the pin out of my other A2 front sight post, stuck this sucker on there, dimpled the barrel, and it's been great ever since. No problems at all. Second thing that I wanted was a full-length handrail. And at this point in time, Keymod and M-Lock were kind of battling back and forth for supremacy. I had ultimately went with the M-Lock, thank goodness. But I knew I wanted a longer rail for more real estate, and I went with the Atlas S1 by Aero Precision. It's a great rail, guys. I think it's 6061 aluminum, but it's still seriously resilient, and it's really lightweight because the Picatinny rail at the top has pretty much been omitted, with the exception of a little place up front for your backup iron sights. It has M-Lock attachments at 3, 6, and 9 all the way around, and it gives you the ability with its super slim stature to be able to get a really good C-clamp over that in conjunction with the angled foregrip that I bought along with it. I bought that at the show as well, and I got the M-Lock direct mount version because that way you could just stick it right on to the handrail without having to worry about putting a piece of Picatinny in there. It makes it a lot more slim and compact. Loved it. I also had to get a front sight now because I had taken away my front sight, and I went with another familiar name from a couple of things I mentioned from before, UTG. Ended up getting a UTG backup iron sights for the front and the rear. They're just little metal backup sights, guys. They're not too great, not too bad. Pop up, and then they're spring-loaded. They pop back down. Got them for 55 bucks. So all in at the front, I think I spent 150 on the rail. Those normally go for 200 though, so I got a good deal on that. 25 on the angled foregrip, and 55 on the backup iron sights. Going back, Optic was of paramount importance to me, guys. Wanted to make sure I got a decent one, and I think I came away with a great one. I got the EOTech 512. I chose that for several reasons. The first one being battery compatibility. It takes AA batteries, and they got a decent battery life. But if the world comes to an end a couple years down the road, you'll probably still find some AA batteries laying around. So I like that. I wanted to make sure that I had the ability to switch those out as needed. Also went with the 512 because it's a well-known name, guys. EOTech is one of the industry standards. It was been on soldiers' rifles for a long time. They're as rugged as they come, and that donut of death is world-renowned for helping keep you accurate, gives you everything you need in a holographic sight. The main reason I bought it, though, 400 bucks. The EXPS2 and EXPS3, the little more compact versions of these guys, were going for like $650, $700 at the time. And I got out of the show with that for $400. The thing I wasn't going to give them, though, was $500 for their magnifier. EOTech is proud of those magnifiers for some reason, and I walked out of that show with a Vortex 3X magnifier. It's a great little magnifier, guys. It does a really decent job, The only thing with it is that the mounting system is a little different. It's not friction based. You have a little button you have to push there in the front to engage and disengage it. But once you train with it a little bit, you get used to it. And again, for the price, I spent 200 bucks on that. I really can't complain too much. Walked out with a really great magnified setup there for 600 bucks. Moving down the rifle, I wanted to make sure that the new trigger I was going to get wasn't going to walk out. And as much walking as I did around that center that day, couldn't find any black K&S anti-walk pins. So I have a multicolored setup on my rifle now. Don't judge me. And I got FDE K&S anti-walk pins in here. Spent about 20 bucks on those. So decent little setup on that. The other thing I really wanted was ambidextrous charging handle and ambidextrous safety. So for the ambidextrous charging handle, I went with the industry standard. I got the Radian Raptor charging handle. There's the reason that it's the industry standard, guys, is because they're the best. And I got that for 80 bucks and have been happy with it ever since then. Also got I didn't go with Radian for the safety selector though, because they wanted a lot of money for it. I think it was 60 bucks whenever it first came out. Those Talons are even still now $50-something. I found this Seekins Precision, fully ambidextrous, really tactile safety at that show for 30 bucks. I like the 70-degree option because it still keeps it out of your way, but I'm a fan of that over the 45-degree option because if you have any tolerance issues, then that 45-degree angle may not engage the safety when you go to pull your trigger accidentally. And if it doesn't engage it, that's a problem. The safety needs to be a safety. So I prefer to stick with the 70-degree, and that's why I have the Seekins Precision. That and the price, it was 30 bucks. So I can't complain. Also, wanted to upgrade the trigger. I ended up putting a CNC 3.5-pound trigger in here. And let me tell you, boys, that guy will take off on you. If you are not prepared for it, you'll pop a couple rounds off before you even realize what you've done. So I had to train a lot with that trigger, but once I did, man, the reset's almost non-existent. There's almost no over travel. You touch it and it goes. It helps with accuracy. Great trigger, and I got that for 120 bucks at the show. They usually go for like 160, 170. So I feel like I did a really good job on that. As far as grips go, I just got a really standard Magpul grip with a little storage compartment at the bottom there for all your nuts and fruits and various sundry items that you might want to keep in there. That leads me to my third mistake, though, which is sitting right here in front of me. And that was I just bought a simple little stock to replace my other stock that came with it. And honestly, guys, this was worse than the regular stock that came on it. It jiggled a lot worse. Didn't really lock up very well, and I was into that for 50 bucks. Ended up replacing that with the Magpul SL stock, and that thing is super tight, locks up exactly as you want it to, and I think I spent 65 on that. So it was worth the upgrade on that one. This leads me into my most embarrassing part, and that is my choice to buy another bolt carrier group. Keep in mind, I had this bolt carrier group that came with it. My Ruger one works just fine. 1,500 rounds through it, not a single malfunction. Always worked great. But it wasn't shiny. And it needed to be shiny, guys. So I bought a shiny one. I spent $180 on an Aero Precision nickel boron bolt carrier group. And again, it's a great bolt carrier group. It's super easy to clean. No issues with it whatsoever. But I spent 180 bucks on it because it was shiny. And I'm honestly more embarrassed about that than I am about buying that Fairfield piece of crap. Because I did no research on either. And if I would have done any research on either, I wouldn't have bought either. And it's embarrassing all around because it was just wasted money for no reason, guys. And that leads me into my advice for you. As you upgrade your rifle, do your research before you walk into anywhere. Once you've done your research, walk into a gun store. Put your hands on it physically. Because if you just order it from a store and it arrives at your doorstep, it's kind of too late at that point. They may take it back and they may not, but you're kind of stuck with it in most instances. So I always recommend trying to put your hands on it, go into a local gun shop, support your local business, and find what you want to make your rifle what you want it to be. So that being said, I have my rifle exactly as I want it. Let's do some math now. All in, without the additional stuff that I bought that I shouldn't have, my rifle, and I'm going to include the nickel boron bolt carrier group because I do still use it in my current setup. I am into it for $1,882. Let's call it $1,900 to be easy. Take $600 off for the Optic and the Magnifier because you're going to buy that for whatever gun you put them on. So all told, I'm in it for about $1,300. Now it's exactly how I want it, but let's do some comparisons. BCMs right around $1,300. Sons of Liberty Gunworks right around $1,300. Some of your higher up Smith & Wessons, Colts, those are all around that range, somewhere in there. But is it going to be exactly what you want? Or are you going to have to spend more money to get what you want on there? If you buy a BCM and you don't like their stock, and you want to put a B5 Systems on there, you have to spend an extra $100 for no reason. So let's talk about the extra money that I spent. Doing the quick math on the red dot that I spent there, the scope, the bolt carrier group, and the stock, I am in it for an additional $500 over and above what I should have spent before. And that's all just because I didn't research, guys. And I can't say enough how important it is to do some research beforehand because that would have been money that I could still have in my pocket. Or I could have bought another Glock. And, you know, a Smith or a 365 by Sig Sauer is $500. So could have another gun right now if I hadn't been impetuous and stupid. So that's really all I have today, guys, for this video. Which way would you go? Would you buy a base level rifle and build it up, or would you just buy the rifle that you think you might want? Let me know in the comments below. Let's get a conversation going. I'd love to hear what you guys' inputs are. I usually try to respond to every comment on there, so let's hear them, guys. I want to hear what you have to say. Make sure to like and subscribe for me. Really want to get this channel to be something that we can all enjoy. Until the next time, guys, hope you have a great day.